Today's video is about the San Jose juniper. Junipers, pines, spruces are some of the more popular evergreen species that are used for making bonsai, but junipers probably are by far the most popular, I would say. Those of you who are not familiar with your different evergreen species, I know that some people refer to anything green as a fir tree, F-I-R, a fir tree. It means nothing. There are so many evergreen trees. They're not all fir trees. So this is a juniper. The San Jose juniper is one of the most commonly available junipers that you find in most Western nurseries and garden centers. Let me talk about some of the other junipers that are on the nursery which we use for making bonsai. And there are many types of junipers. If you look at this great big one, this is a Kisu juniper, Chinese juniper, Kisu. And this is at least about 80 or 100 years old. I've had it 30 years, so there you are. This is genuine old driftwood, natural, nothing carved. And then those are all Itoigawa junipers that have come from Japan, and they are all about 40 to 50 years old, maybe more. If we were in Taiwan, a 40 or 50 year old tree would look like a 200-year-old tree with 8 to 12 inch diameter trunks and 8 to 10 foot high. But in the temperate countries, they grow much slower. But let's not get distracted about the rare Chinese juniper varieties like Itoigawa and Kisu. We are going to talk about the ordinary San Jose juniper because they are easily available, and I'm going to show you what they are like and what we can make out of them. Okay, so let's go to another. I'll show you some more San Jose juniper. These are our growing fields where we grow them in the ground and then we dig them out and pot them up. And you look at the size of this tree. Unless I stand next to you, you don't realize. Look at the size of the trunk. That trunk is every bit 8 inch at the base. And this has been grown on the nursery since 1986, successively in the ground and then dug up. And this is what the San Jose looks like when they are grown without any control. We're just growing it and then cropping it back. I've got several others. There's another one. If you go around that side, you can see the beautiful trunk. This is another San Jose. And these are all grown in our fields. And look at the character of this tree. These are being kept for a future styling where we will redesign these trees. Let me explain to you why the San Jose is different from other Chinese junipers. Mind you, the San Jose is also part of the Juniperus chinensis species. So the variety is called Juniperus chinensis San Jose. The San Jose is a juniper that has both prickly and cord-like foliage. The prickly foliage is what we call the juvenile foliage, and the cord-like foliage is the adult foliage. So on the same tree you will get both types of foliage. They say that if you keep the San Jose pot bound, it will have the adult foliage. So this again has been grown here for the last 38 years, successively in the ground and in pots, and we're going to do something with this. We'll go to another area. Now this is another San Jose, but this one, because it's been in this pot for so long, most of the foliage is just the adult foliage. There's no juvenile foliage. As far as I can see, there's very little juvenile. And look at that contorted trunk. I just twisted the branches, let it grow into each other. And this is about 40 years of cultivation, and we are going to see what we can make out of this tree. So we have a lot of San Jose growing on the nursery. So these are all San Jose's, but while we're talking about junipers, this is another juniper. This is also a Juniperus chinensis, and this variety is called Grey Owl. Look at it. These we grow as garden trees. So we make junipers in all different sizes for going on to bonsai. Yet another Chinese juniper here that looks like a San Jose. This one has been growing here for the last, I would say, 30 years. Look at it. The pot has been burst open and the roots have gone into the soil. Look at the size of this tree. This variety is called Juniper chinensis robusta green. And as you can see, we do a lot of air layering from this tree. So this is a parent tree and we propagate from this tree. If you look at this air layering, this was an air layering that partly succeeded. It calloused, but it didn't have time to produce enough root, but I will air lay it again to get a nice stumpy tree. So this is how we use our junipers. So we are a proper growing nursery. We don't just buy and sell bonsai. We actually grow in the field. So as we walk around, I will show you, we have hundreds and hundreds of junipers that we've grown from cuttings. Now I'm going to show you, because of the video's limited time that we have, not a tree like this, because that would take probably about 8 sessions to complete that. We will show you simple jobs which you and I and beginners can use for making bonsai. So let's go to another part of the nursery and I'll show you some more. More San Jose's, and these are the cuttings we make. This is a classic San Jose cutting. So it's got again both juvenile and adult leaves. We don't grow them vigorously, we grow them slowly so that they have character. So I'm going to take some of these in and show you what we can make with these San Jose junipers. And while we're here, we've got some more big ones. Look at this beast. Look at this beast. That's a San Jose and a half. Very complicated tree. And these are all destined for bonsai. That's another San Jose there. Look at this one. This is all natural driftwood. Nothing collected. So this will probably end up as something else. So there is so much material on the nursery for making into bonsai.
This is San Jose.
Oh yes, and there's a very famous San Jose while we're here. This one, if you look at my first book, this is the tree that I worked with John Narka in 1976 when he came on his first UK tour. And these were I had 2 San Jose's that I dug up from a friend's garden in Purley, my previous home. And they were dug up in 1974 and I put them in large mica pots. And when John Narka came to the UK, I did a workshop with him with this tree. It's badly overgrown and needs to be rewired, and a lot of the branches, the lower branches have died, but it will be restyled again. So this is the story of this tree. So this tree has been more than 50 years in training, has to be retrained. And this was a San Jose. It's all recorded in my first book, which I wrote in 1984. So let's go to the nursery and start doing some projects. So before I go from this area, these are all young cuttings that we've grown on. So this is how we grow them. We don't just let them grow straight. We prune it a little bit so that they have some shape. So all these trees have got potential, as you can see, for bonsai. So I've just grabbed a few at random and I'm going to take it back. See, there you are. The more we look, the more we find. So many San Jose's around. Okay, so we now go back to the nursery. You're spoiled for choice. The San Jose's everywhere. Okay, so we go back and do some simple projects. Stay small. So, as with most of these trees, wiring is the key. If you do the correct wiring, you will get good results very easily. So this tree is about, I would say, I think in terms of inches, it's over 1/8 of an inch thick, or 1/8 to 1/4 inch. I think the US people will like me for it because they still think in inches. Now this is 2 mil wire. Many people keep asking me, you have a magic formula for judging what grade of wire to use. There is no magic formula because different species have different flexibility, different pliability. So they all are different. The San Jose is a very brittle juniper. So you got to be very careful how you use the wire because you can snap the branch if you're not careful. Already, because this is quite an old one, you can see this trunk is quite stiff. So I got to be a bit careful how I use the wire on that. So this is just 2mm wire. If in doubt, you simply put the wire on, and once you put the wire on, try and bend it into a shape, and you'll be surprised what you will get from it. And you put it back in this pot. So again, if in doubt, the simple S shape or the informal upright shape will make it look like a credible tree. So it's just wiring that trunk into that shape. I haven't gone too mad, and now let's get some thinner wire to wire the branches, and we will see what we get out of it. So the next grade of wire we're going to use is 1 1/2. So 1 1/2. Hopefully this should do that. And then there's a third branch on its own, so if it's on its own, I can still link it to an existing wired branch and take it out from there. Go even thinner than that. Every single branch should be wired. I'm not here to show you how clever I am. I'm just helping the beginners to get started in bonsai so it doesn't frighten them off. There you are, that's quite a credible tree. Anyone would be quite happy to create that. Now that one I didn't try and bend the trunk. The material does help. Now this one, because we've been growing in this pot for a long time, and it is quite a mature tree. You see how old the trunk is. And already it's got a lovely bend and twist in it without any artificial aids such as wiring. So I can still improve on it a little bit by adding a little more twist to the top. So I'm going to just do a little tweaking to the top and then try and improve it a little more. As I always tell people who are starting in bonsai, there's no substitute for practice. The more you practice, the more you wire, the better you will get at the art. Practice makes perfect. Whether you're singing, dancing, swimming. Just play around with the shape and most of all enjoy what you do. Explore and experiment with the shapes. So this has been growing naturally almost like that, and once I have given it a bit of watering, I'll put it in a bigger pot and fertilize it heavily, and then hopefully it will become stronger. So we're going to progress from very, very simple stuff to slightly more complicated stuff. The angle of planting is quite important. I think if we plant it at a slant like this, I think I will plant them all up in bonsai pots for you to see the end result. So I've just tinkered with the top a little bit. So I've done that one. So let's go through all of them. As I say, I'm not doing any sleight of hand or magic. Again, you see how they've got this natural twisting habit. So again, with a subject like this, let me put it in a temporary pot to prop it up. Okay, so it was growing like this, it doesn't look anything. But once I change the angle, see, once you change the angle, the tree takes on a different complexion altogether. So it's got the makings of, say, like a literati tree. So I could bring it back on itself like that. So there's so many possibilities to do this one. So this also looks nice this side, using this as the front. That is the back. You can do that like that. Let me just put a thickish piece of wire and see what effects I get with this. I find that one of the advantages of controlling how plants grow on our own nursery is that we don't let them grow too vigorously and too fast. We grow them slowly so that they get more character on the trunk. So let me show you how I would try and style the top of this tree. Again, for those of you who are more experienced, you will know that San Jose, as I said earlier, is a brittle species. They don't like to be bent too much. And if you do, you got to be extra careful because the branches do break. It's like the Bouverensis pine. The ordinary Scots pine is fine, but Bouverensis, which is also a Scots, it's just that it's a dwarf Scots pine, they are exceedingly brittle. So you've got the choice of either bringing this branch back like that, which will make it look more or less like an informal upright tree. But because I don't want to make everything into an informal upright, let's go for something a bit more dramatic or unusual and go for a one-sided tree. It's almost like a literati, literati in style. So to give you some idea, let me bring my trimming scissors. So let me bring a bag and show you some choices with the bag. Handkerchief. Now this tree could stand on its own just like that. That has a literati character. So you just see, if you just explore the different shapes, you will find and be surprised what a lot of variation you can get in the design. And should you not want the top, you can make it go like that with 3 levels. That is also like a windswept on that side. So it's just to show you the design possibilities and principles. I wouldn't keep letting it grow. I mean, I could do that a little bit. So as I said, I'll pot all these up and show you the end result. So that is that one I would practice on. Okay. So let's do something a bit different. So this is another one. This is growing very vigorously. So green. And this one, because I pruned the leading shoot out, you see what I did? I just pruned that and grew the top of that. So I don't know why I did that, but I probably didn't want it to keep growing taller and taller. So this is like a rogue shoot. What would I do with that? That seems to be out of place, more or less. I could even make it into a cascade at some stage like that, or a semi-cascade, but probably not. So let's do something a bit more radical, cut that off, and then we will explore another shape. So can you see what a lovely thick trunk? It's all about proportion, all about proportion. So I've done nothing. I just cut off a branch and I've got a nice thick trunk to complement the nice little dome-shaped head that I've got there. And with a bit of wiring, you can take your time and do the wiring. I'm not here to do detail wiring. I'm here more or less to show you the basic approach to making interesting trees. It's more how to think and how to make choices. We have so many YouTube fans. In fact, I should have interviewed some. We have a group from Switzerland here today, a group of 3 people from Switzerland. They've all come to see herons, and they all say to me that I make bonsai appear easy and not frightening. So if I have achieved that, now what have I done there? I've done nothing literally. I've just put one small piece of wire there and taken the choice to cut off that long branch, and there you are. I've got a fairly credible bonsai like that. So that is that one done. Now, okay, this is a challenge. What do you do with that? Gangly tree like that. Okay, so first thing I do is to put a piece of wire on it. And once I put a piece of wire, I can then twist it into some sort of shape and see what sort of shape emerges from that. I'm now going to use a fairly thick piece of wire. This is, I think, 3.5 millimeter wire. And we will see what happens. I can't emphasize enough about the choice of thickness of wire. If you use wire that's not appropriate, it won't produce the results. You won't be able to bend it. So some of you may think that this is unnecessarily thick wire, but I think you need it if you are to bend it. But again, I have to keep reminding myself that San Jose is a brittle species and that it could snap. Okay, so hold it in the palms of your hand. I may have told you this story before. Back in the 1980s, I think it may have been 84 or 85, I used to go up to the BBC studios, Pebble Mill in Birmingham. And I did a demonstration there on television, and I was working on a San Jose Juniper, and it had a trunk about thumb thick. And in the course of working, the trunk snapped. And, everyone thought I would be very embarrassed, but you just got to proceed as if you deliberately meant it to snap. So I made that into a gin, so no big deal. So nothing is ever lost. I hope it won't snap on me, but it is bendable. What I did learn from my trip to Taiwan was that they bend really thick trunks with very, very thick wire. And all those twists and bends of the junipers have been created simply by putting wire on and leaving them to bite into the trunk. Okay, I managed to bend that, and that's only one piece of wire. Now let me experiment and see what happens if I use a double piece of wire. Now these are all experiments. There's nothing been rehearsed or tried before, but it just shows you the art of bonsai involves experimentation. As with anything, I believe even if you do painting, you try different types of techniques, different colors. I'm not a painter, but I believe they keep experimenting with all sorts of techniques. So same with bonsai, you can use all sorts of different techniques to see what results you get. So I'm going to try and bend this trunk even more. Okay, that's a double piece of wire. Double piece of 2.5. So you see how I'm gripping it by my palms, both hands. So should it snap, I can feel it snapping, but I hope it won't snap on me. That is some serious bending on a very rigid species. Look at that. Something so rigid could be bent into that shape. Now again, if you wanted to be pedantic, you could more or less use this for a literati. I know I keep going back to literati. I may have told you years ago, my Japanese suppliers used to visit Herons, and they were absolutely surprised what a lot of literati trees I had. And they were quite impressed because they said that literati or bunjin is sophisticated taste. Not everyone likes literati, but those who understand literati, like the ancient Chinese scholars, represent high taste. So don't be afraid of tackling literati. It's a beautiful design. Difficult to get absolutely right, but worth exploring. So literati is really the beauty of the line and form. And all you need is a little twist and it will be there. So let me just bend that branch down. Don't run away. While we're here, can we just have you here? Would you like to be on YouTube?
Sure,
These are our friends from Switzerland. Simon, okay. And
Exactly.
introduce yourself.
I'm Philip.
Philip?
Yeah.
Okay. And you've come all the way from Switzerland to visit Herons.
Exactly.
What did you think? You've enjoyed your time here?
It's absolutely beautiful here.
Okay.
I just started my own little social media channel.
Yes, how nice.
Hashirama Bonsai. If you
Oh,
want to check
you are
it out.
Hashimara. Okay.
Oh, you know it?
Yes, of course I
Oh,
follow
that's
you.
cool. No,
Yeah,
really?
Yes.
Oh, thank you so
Okay.
much. So
All right.
I'm really, there's a lot of like guys who tell you bonsai is complicated and everything, and I love your approach so much because yeah, you can just buy nursery stuff and
Yes,
transform
okay.
it and enjoy
So
the
that's what you
beauty.
find useful about my channel. Okay. I try to
Not-
make it not complicated.
No, I really love the how shall I say, it's peaceful, it's calm.
Okay.
I love your voice and
Okay. I'm so glad to meet you, and it's lovely
Thank
seeing
you so much.
fans from all over the world, And I hope you've enjoyed your visit and you
beautiful.
witnessed some of these little projects that I did. So this is how the YouTube videos are made. So I'm glad you could visit.
we will
and I
definitely
hope
come
to see you
again. Thank
Okay,
you so
okay,
much.
sorry. Okay.
Have a nice day.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey, this one, really, as you can tell, that's a really old tree.
Yeah.
Really old tree.
Okay, so we don't need this. Snip it off. And by heading the shoots back, you will get bud back further down the trunk and you'll get more compact growth. This is, remember, the first ever trim that it's had. So this is, again, a literati type tree. Look at it. Lovely twisted bends on a virtually unbendable subject. So that's another one. So as I said, we will put them all up and you'll see the end result. Now, there are so many of these that I've shown you. The choice is absolutely bewildering. Okay, let's show you this one. Let's take these out of the way. Okay, let's have a look at this. So, This I would say would be at least 20 years old on the nursery, and you do get a bit of dieback, so no matter. You can always shorten it and then make a gin from that later on. Now there is so much growth on this tree. Now this is where, as with all these raw material projects, there is a lot of choice to be made. Lots of choice. What do you do with a tree like that? Again, the thing is to analyze the trunk line. On this big piece here, if I'm careful, maybe with an axe, I will try and separate it and get 2 trees out of it. I don't want to just cut it off. You see, there is a possibility of getting something out of that. I might even show you how I do it. People are always criticizing me for using the axe, but I do it my way. You like my way, you just enjoy it. If you don't like my way, don't watch the channel. Some people are afraid of seeing me use the axe, but it works, and I've been doing it for more than 60 years, so you know it works for me, and that's what that matters. Okay, so looking at this tree, I would discount this straight away, and I will get rid of this in a minute. So what do we see with this tree? So let's put it in one of these temporary pots. Hold, can I still? I love these Japanese training pots because they are more or less like the props. Helps to hold the tree in place. So I can see straight away that that's a lovely line there. That is too straight, much too straight. I can't do much with that. That's very straight. But this is interesting. But if you look at it, you could even think of making like a semi-cascade at some point with this tree like that, or even like a cascading tree this way. So you've got to consider all different possibilities before you discount anything, because if you take a decision, it will almost be irrevocable. Okay, let's find another pot to hold it better. So there are more possibilities. I've just seen something else. Now this is very interesting here. Look at that natural shari. You know, it's been distressed. Someone may have knocked the tree. And I've got that distressing effect there. So you look at it this way, look at that beautiful line there. So there are so many possibilities that you can see in that tree. It's not been worked on at all before, so it's more or less in its virgin state, as they say. So that is a possibility. This is a possibility. So I'm spoilt for choice. I'm absolutely spoilt for choice. I could do that tree that way and get a tree out of that and get a tree out of that. And then I can still do this even. So I'm in a dilemma. But what I can eliminate straight away is that bit. Even if I made a gin out of it, it would be far too straight. I know you can bend it by heat treatment, like bending umbrella sticks, but probably that straight bit I can discount straight away, and we will cut it off. So let me bring a locker and cut it off. Keep filming. just a very rough cut, and then we will refine the gin afterwards. And that is a source of endless cuttings there. So we have eliminated part of the problem. So the more I look, the more possibilities to get. I keep trying all sorts of different positions. Very challenging. All usable branches. You see, just by pruning a little bit here and there, you're starting to get a shape. Many people would say, oh, what style are you trying to do? And I have to remind people that styles are only a way of classifying different bonsai. No tree has to be any particular style. You can have a mixture of styles all on one tree. So this is just an informal style, nothing sophisticated. It doesn't have to be windswept or driftwood or informal upright. It is just a natural style. So let us see what we can get out of it. Now that I've got the tree upright in this position, I'm now inclined to leave that branch alone. Why should I get rid of that? That looks quite nice as it is. So I will probably leave that. And then just make a short chin with this one. So I like the way that sweeps that way. See, repetition in bonsai is quite important. If I bend this and get it to repeat this over there, you see this one can be replicated there, and you get a nice effect like that to replicate that same twist and bend there. So this is going to be useful like that. So that's how I'll proceed. So I'm going to put a piece of wire on that and then start wiring it into position. Okay, I don't need to bore you with the detailed wiring, otherwise we will run out of television time. Okay, I'm here after 1.5 hours work, and we've done 2, 3, 5, 6 trees, 6 San Jose's of all different shapes and sizes. This was the biggest one, which was growing in a black flower pot, and I managed to get it out of that pot. And you remember my thought process, I was going to cut that off with an axe because I thought that was superfluous, but I decided to keep it. So it's like a triple trunk. And what I liked about this part is because this sweeping branch here, I'm mimicking it and repeating the pattern here. So this is repeating that one, repetition, and this also is repeating that one. So I've ended up like a triple trunk tree. If you go from the back, you can get an overall view. It's a nice triple trunk. Let me look at the camera. So it's some sort of pseudo literati style. What is worrying me is this little bit here, because I want to show the beautiful S trunk. So probably cut that off. And this also I don't think I need. I can bring it over here, make a pad or something. See, but what I want to show is that beautiful S shape there. So, and then probably at a later stage I can bring that down. So you see that lovely curve, all natural. That hasn't been wired, that has just grown naturally. This is the only bit of wiring I've done. So there's minimal wiring on this. So this has been wired. And that long straight branch was ginned This was the one I can show you. We haven't cut much off. That was the straight branch there. That was cut off. And from all the 6 trees, that's all we've taken off. So that's turned out quite nice. There's some sort of pseudo literati, and it's quite nice. So there you go. That's that biggest one. And this is all natural. This shari is also natural. It was distressed and it hasn't been done artificially. Now let's show you these little trees that I did. These little trees I'm really pleased with. Let us show you from the simplest ones to more complicated ones. So this is the first one, which was literally a twig or a cutting, no thicker than a pencil even, and it's just been wired into an S shape. And there's that tree. The next tree was also like a cutting, and I decided to lean it to one side and again get some sort of informal upright shape. So that is that one. And then the third one of the small is this one, which I think had a branch growing like that, and I cut off that thin branch and kept that little side branch and made a nice chunky little tree with this one in a ceramic pot. How pretty is that? Okay, so that is the third one. And then there is this other literati. Look at that, all literatis with this thick trunk. They're about finger thick, and a double bend coming down there, that's sweeping back, and a little bit of chin there. So that is that one literati. And then there's yet another literati with a lovely incurve pot. This I put a double coil of 2.5 mil wire and really bent it into a double S. So I've got that shape. So in the space of 1.5 hours, we've got 2, 4, 6 San Jose bonsai. So I've shown you simple projects with San Jose, showing how easy it is to make San Jose juniper. Some people may not like the mixture of juvenile and adult foliage, but it all adds to the beauty. It's the trunk line that we want to see. So they've got beautiful, characterful trunk lines. So there you go. I hope you've learned something from creating bonsai from San Jose Juniper. There were some others that I didn't have time to work on, but I'm sure you can do something with this. So this is the sort of semi-trained material that we sell on the nursery, all grown at Herons over a long period of time, and from simple things like this you can make something beautiful. There you go.